Welcome back to Backstage Melody. We go beyond the beat to uncover the truth behind the legends. And this one? It's darker and more personal than anyone ever imagined. He moonwalked his way into pop culture history, but behind the sleek moves and a bass line that made the world dance, Billie Jean wasn't just a song, it was a shield, a secret message, a war cry from Michael Jackson himself. While fans sang along, Michael was fighting something far more personal. Because Billie Jean wasn't just inspired by fiction, it was sparked by a real woman, a dangerous accusation, and a battle Michael never wanted but couldn't escape. The woman who claimed it all. The early 1980s were supposed to be the most exciting time of Michael Jackson's life. After years of working his way up from child prodigy to solo sensation, he was finally on the cusp of something massive. His album Off the Wall had already broken records and Thriller was in production, a project that would change music forever. But just as his star was rising, a disturbing story began to unfold behind the scenes. A woman Michael had never met claimed that he was the father of her twin sons. At first, it might have seemed like just another wild rumor, one of the many bizarre claims celebrities deal with. But this one escalated quickly and dangerously. She began sending Michael letters, dozens of them, filled with obsessive messages and twisted fantasies. Some included photographs of herself and the children. Others accused Michael of abandoning them. Then came the gifts, some strange, some threatening. The most chilling moment came when she mailed him a gun. Along with it, a note urging him to end his own life on a specific date. The message was cold, calculated, and horrifying. Michael was shaken to his core. This wasn't just an overzealous fan, it was a direct attack on his peace, his safety, and his mental well-being. He kept the incident private at first, refusing to publicly name the woman. The media eventually picked up on the story, but Michael stayed silent. Instead of retaliation, he turned inward, and from that emotional chaos, he began to write. His pain, his confusion, his denial, all of it found a home in one song, Billie Jean. But this wouldn't be just another track on an album. It would become a coded message to the world, and the beginning of something far bigger than even Michael expected. The inspiration behind Billie Jean. From the outside, Billie Jean sounded like a slick pop track with a hypnotic bass line. But underneath its infectious groove was something far more personal, a cry for truth wrapped in rhythm. Michael didn't name the woman who sent him the gun. He never pointed fingers, but he made his position clear through music. He turned to the only outlet he truly trusted, the studio. And when he sat down to write Billie Jean, it wasn't about making a hit. It was about telling the world he had been wronged. The lyrics seem simple on the surface. Billie Jean is not my lover. She's just a girl who claims that I am the one, but the kid is not my son. But those words came from a deep place of betrayal. Michael wasn't just denying fatherhood, he was rejecting an entire pattern of manipulation he'd seen throughout his life. As a Jackson, he'd watched women throw themselves at his brothers during tours, groupies claiming pregnancies, whispering lies, planting seeds of chaos for a chance at attention or money. Billie Jean wasn't about just one woman. She was a composite, a symbol for every fabricated accusation, every twisted rumor, every opportunist who tried to use his fame against him. But Michael didn't just write lyrics, he constructed a soundscape of emotion. The sparse, punchy bass line mimicked his heartbeat. The layered vocals echoed his internal conflict. Every element was intentional. Every beat was a reflection of the pressure building in his life. Even Quincy Jones, his legendary producer, didn't initially understand the vision. Quincy thought the title Billie Jean was outdated, something from a different generation. He wanted to change it, cut it, replace it. Michael stood firm. No, he said, it has to stay. Because Billie Jean wasn't just a character. She was a shadow that had followed him for years. And now, finally, he was confronting her in the only way he could, through the mic. Sony wanted to cut it. You'd think a song like Billie Jean, one of the most recognizable hits in music history, would have been an instant yes from the label. But in reality, Michael had to fight harder for this song than almost any other on Thriller. When he brought Billie Jean to the executives at Epic and Sony, their response was underwhelming, if not outright dismissive. They didn't get it. They thought the track was too long, too dark, too strange. The groove was minimalist. The bass line is repetitive. The lyrics are vague. To them, it wasn't radio-friendly. They didn't hear the story hidden in the rhythm. They didn't feel the quiet fury in Michael's voice. They didn't understand the storm this track was holding back. Worse, they believed it was too risky to lead with. But Michael knew exactly what he was doing. He insisted the song stay on Thriller, and not just as filler. He wanted it released as a single, one of the lead tracks. That wasn't just creative control. That was a battle. Michael had seen the industry try to box him in before. As a black artist trying to break into mainstream pop charts dominated by white acts, he faced constant resistance. But with Billie Jean, he wasn't about to back down. The stakes were high. Thriller was shaping up to be a career-defining album, and Billie Jean was a risk not everyone was willing to take. But Michael believed in it, deeply, personally. He reportedly told his team, "If I don't release this song, I'm not releasing the album." That wasn't arrogance. That was instinct. He knew Billie Jean wasn't just a hit. It was a cultural moment waiting to happen. And he was right. When it finally dropped, the song exploded. It reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and stayed there for 7 consecutive weeks. It dominated charts globally. It won Grammy Awards. It redefined what a pop song could sound like. But more than all of that, Billie Jean proved that trusting your truth, no matter who doubts it, is sometimes the most powerful move an artist can make. The moonwalk that saved his image. It was one of those moments where time seemed to stop. March 25th, 1983, Motown, 25. Yesterday, today, forever. Michael Jackson stepped onto the stage in a black sequined jacket, tight black pants, and that now iconic single rhinestone glove. He looked sharp, calm, composed. But beneath the surface, this performance wasn't just another TV appearance. It was a calculated strike, a make-or-break moment. The stakes? Immense. Behind the scenes, Michael was under pressure. Rumors were swirling. The press was circling. Some critics were still skeptical of his transition from child star to adult icon. And the label wasn't sure Thriller could actually live up to its expectations, especially with Billie Jean being such a bold, unconventional track. So Michael planned to change all of that in under 5 minutes. As the beat of Billie Jean began, the audience was drawn in. He hit every move with precision. He slid, he spun, and then it happened. Without warning, Michael floated backward in a smooth, impossible motion. The moonwalk. No one had ever seen anything like it. It was elegant, haunting, otherworldly, like he was defying gravity itself. The crowd erupted. People screamed. Dancers watched in disbelief. It wasn't just a dance move, it was a power move. In one effortless glide, Michael Jackson wiped away the doubt, the drama, and the danger of being misunderstood. He reclaimed the narrative. Billie Jean became more than just a song. It became a moment, a declaration, a cultural reset. And he didn't need to shout or explain. He just danced. That moonwalk wasn't rehearsed for spectacle. It was performed for survival. It changed how the world saw him. Overnight, Billie Jean rocketed up the charts, and Michael's image shifted from tabloid target to untouchable icon. Because at that moment, he didn't just perform the song, he owned it, and no one ever questioned Billie Jean again. Was it about Diana Ross? On the surface, Billie Jean was about a woman falsely claiming Michael fathered her child. But some fans, and even a few insiders, have long believed the song carried a much deeper, more personal message. What if Billie Jean wasn't about an obsessed stranger, but about someone Michael once adored? Diana Ross. Michael met Diana when he was just 9 years old. She wasn't just a mentor, she was his hero, his protector, his first true muse. He moved in with her in Los Angeles at Berry Gordy's request. She introduced the Jackson 5 to the world. And for years, Michael spoke about her with starry-eyed reverence. He called her Mother. Some speculated he loved her more than family, but as Michael's fame began to eclipse hers, things changed. Behind the scenes, their relationship reportedly became strained. Diana, once the undisputed queen of Motown, was now watching her protege become a global phenomenon. While she celebrated his success in public, some say there was distance growing in private. Phone calls went unanswered, invitations stopped coming, the bond they once shared, fading. And that's where the theory begins. Fans have pointed out that Billie Jean may not have been solely about a groupie's lie, but about emotional betrayal. about someone who claimed Michael in the past, only to step away. When he needed her most, someone who said, "I am the one," but abandoned him the moment things got complicated. Could Billie Jean be a disguised reference to Diana Ross? Michael never confirmed it, but knowing how he encoded his emotions into metaphors, it wouldn't be out of character. He was a master at turning heartbreak into poetry, never naming names, but always leaving just enough clues. And perhaps Billie Jean wasn't just a denial of fatherhood. It was a farewell to someone who once made him feel like he belonged. The fallout. Fame turns poisonous. Billie Jean may have launched Michael Jackson into another dimension of fame, but it also marked the beginning of something far more dangerous: his unraveling. After the success of Thriller, everything changed. The world didn't just love Michael, they obsessed over him. Suddenly, every step he took, every word he said, every glance he gave became front-page news. He wasn't just a star anymore, he was a myth in motion. But for Michael, it didn't feel like success. It felt like surveillance. The paranoia crept in slowly, then took over. He believed his phones were tapped. He started building secret rooms and escape tunnels beneath Neverland. Security around him tightened. His inner circle shrank. He stopped trusting people, sometimes even family. In private, he admitted he couldn't sleep. He worried about being poisoned. He distrusted his own staff. There were rumors that he used code names just to order food or arrange travel. Even in his own home, he felt like he was being watched. It wasn't just the stalkers, it was the lawsuits, the fake friends, the constant headlines, the sensation that everyone wanted something from him: money, status, a piece of his identity. And it all traced back to that moment, that first woman, that lie, that song. Billie Jean had exposed more than a rumor. It had peeled back the curtain on Michael's greatest fear, that no matter how much he gave to the world, someone would always try to take from him. The emotional toll was heavy. Interviews from the late 80s and early 90s show a man who had become more guarded, more distant, more hollow. He once said, "I'm happiest when I'm on stage. That's when I feel free." Because offstage, he was trapped in fame, in fear, in the very legacy he helped build. And Billie Jean was the first warning sign of a life that would never be the same again. Today, Billie Jean is considered a masterpiece, a pop anthem with one of the most iconic bass lines in history. DJs still spin it, commercials remix it. Young fans discover it on TikTok, having no idea what the song really meant. But listen closely. Strip away the groove, and what's left is a coded confession. Michael never said the name of the woman who inspired the song. He didn't need to. Billie Jean became the stand-in for all of them. The opportunists, the liars, the false accusations, the emotional leeches who attached themselves to his fame. This wasn't a feel-good track. It was a psychological thriller in disguise. Even the production tells a story. That lean, almost paranoid bass line, it pulses like a heartbeat under pressure. The snap of the snare, the echo of the synth, it all feels like someone trying to hold it together while the walls close in. Michael crafted Billie Jean like a movie, but instead of visuals, he gave us shadows through sound. And here's the eerie part. Decades after its release, the themes in the song became prophetic. Michael would spend the rest of his life battling lawsuits, false claims, and public speculation. The media would dissect his every move, and the line, "The kid is not my son," would follow him long after the music faded. Even in his final years, Michael seemed haunted by the weight of that early fame, by the distrust that grew from being wrongfully accused, first by a stranger, then eventually by the world. Billie Jean wasn't just a hit, it was a message, a defense, a warning. And now, in hindsight, it's hard not to hear the desperation buried in every note. In the end, Billie Jean wasn't just a chart-topping hit. It was Michael Jackson's most personal fight turned into art. It wasn't written to make people dance. It was written to make people understand. To understand the pressure, the lies, the loneliness that fame brings when the lights go out and the rumors don't stop. Michael turned pain into poetry, betrayal into brilliance. He didn't shout, accuse, or retaliate. He created a song that would echo through time, a beat you could dance to, and a message you'd never forget. And that's what made him a legend. Because while the world chased headlines, he chased honesty. So, the next time you hear that unforgettable bass line drop, remember, it's not just music, It's a warning, a confession, and a cry for truth from the most famous man on earth. If you love discovering the hidden meanings behind iconic music, subscribe to Backstage Melody, where every lyric has a secret, and every song has a story worth telling.